Prepare to experience the strongest radio allowable by law. Secrets will be revealed. Myths dispelled. From the studio gym where excuses never apply, it's Superhuman Radio with your host, Carl Lenore. Calling all BluePrint Army. Fall in line. It's time for the BluePrint Power Hour.
I have a bad case of premature introduction. Yeah, that's right. Today is the BluePrint Power Hour. We're going to get started in just a moment with Coach Rob Regish. Of course, this is Superhuman Radio. Today is October 13th, 2020. Of course, you can post your questions live while you're here if you want to, and we will do our best to answer all the questions. Keep in mind that with StreamYard, depending on the page that you're watching the show, in order to post questions, you'll see a little link at the bottom of the show description, and it says, let StreamYard change your permissions, something like that. And you click that link and you say, yes, I want my profile name to show up when I post during this live event. And otherwise, we don't know who you are. So if the page you're watching the show from has that little extra sentence at the bottom to give StreamYard access to your profile picture and so on, please select it so we know who you are. It just makes life a lot easier for us here. And of course, we have to thank our title sponsor, Legendary Foods, who makes a very, very generous payment to this show to be our title sponsor because they believe in the mission of this show. And if you are a low-carb, low-sugar person, you absolutely want to go to eatlegendary.com and use the code SHR10 for 10% off your entire order. I don't talk enough about their seasoned almonds. I love their nut butters, you know that, because they taste delicious. They actually use them as dessert. I eat them with a spoon. And I love their tasty pastry, which is a Pop-Tart with 9 grams of protein and less than 1 gram of sugar. So that's really dynamite. But their seasoned nuts are fantastic. The really interesting thing about their seasoned nuts that I think you'll learn is they use the freshest almonds you can find. The almonds taste so strong of the almond flavor because they're fresh. And then the seasonings, just whether it's cheddar cheese or they have one that's a pizza flavored one, they're just delicious. So check them out. Go to eatlegendary.com. Use the code SHR10 to let them know that you learned about them from the show. And, of course, save 10% off at the same time. Now, without further delay, here we go.
Calling all BluePrint Army. Fall in line. It's time for the BluePrint Power Hour with Coach Rob Regish on the Superhuman Radio Network.
Hey, Rob, how you doing?
I am doing great. I want to wish my wife a happy birthday. It's her birthday today. And your Alyssa a happy belated birthday, your wife to be. So pretty cool that their birthdays are that close.
Close together, I know. And I saw some amazing pictures of you, the dog, everybody out on the trails. You went hiking. Tell the audience where you went this weekend.
We were in the mountains of New Hampshire, specifically Keene, New Hampshire, which isn't far from here. And we hiked over the course of 2 days, and I got a real education in how demanding hiking can be, not only going up, but coming down. And all I had on me was a 20-pound pack. So, kudos to those hikers out in the audience. It's a real workout.
Dave Hartnett says, happy Tuesday, Superhuman Radio and BluePrint Power Hour Army. Yes, thank you very much for that. It's, when I went hunting last year with my son up at the base of the Adirondack Mountains, and I hunted a piece of land that was nothing but a mountain. Wow. And I got to tell you, I didn't realize how, I haven't trained legs with any seriousness in a couple of years. And the first thing you lose is calf strength. It's amazing. Going up and down those hills twice a day. I told my son Chase, I said, I think I'm going to be crippled tomorrow because my calves don't want to move, like they were frozen.
It's a great calf workout, right?
It is. Climbing is a great, you don't have to be heroic about it. Just even a slow pace, even like a step pause, because you got to figure out where you want to put your next foot because it's all rocks and trees and all that. I mean, that's an amazing workout. I think Elisa and I are actually going to do some hiking this weekend. We talked about it. So.
Yeah, well, we're going to do it more often. Not only is it a great workout, you see some beautiful things out there in the woods. Beautiful.
And you know what else? It's good for people to do this. And I know you're going to be like, oh, Carl, but there may come a day where we have to all bug out.
Yes.
If you don't own a gun and you don't know how to shoot and you don't know how to skin an animal and you can't climb a hill, like you may go, well, maybe I'll just wait and see what happens tomorrow. And tomorrow may be too late.
Yeah.
So, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but wouldn't it be nice to know that you could if you needed to?
Yeah. And all the same stuff that you would buy for, gear, it could also be in your trunk as a get home bag. So it doubles as bug out and getting home.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah. Great point. The first question comes from Chuck Gill. He says, I've heard you say when designing programs, reps are the most important consideration. Can you elaborate as to why?
Yeah, so specifically, when I've addressed this in the past, it goes like this. Of all the variables involved in weight training, it seems that reps are the thing that your body adapts the quickest to. And I first learned that through trial and error at a fairly young age. I don't think I was 5 years into my training before I made the connection. And later, I was vindicated, at least in my mind, reading through strength coach Charles Poliquin's works, where he noted it as well. And if I'm not mistaken, my favorite strength coach, Charles Staley, the man's a genius, has concurred with that as well. But generally speaking, high level strength athletes can adapt to their reps that they're using in as little as 6 workouts. The way I like to think about it is this. In complete newbies, it could take as long as 6 weeks. In elite athletes, 6 workouts, which means for most trainees, adaptation will occur somewhere between those two extremes. Adaptation to reps, it's primarily driven by 2 things. Number one, the percentage of 1 rep max that you're using, and related, the time under tension, right, that the rep range is causing. The 2, of course, are related. So, for example, when you're working in the 90th percentile of your 1 rep max, you typically can get between 1 and 3 reps. You move a little bit lower into the 80% range, there you're talking about 4 to 6 reps for most people. And below that, strength athletes will rarely venture below 60% or even 50%. Although, interestingly enough, that rep range is ideal to develop greater force and power, because force equals mass times acceleration. As for the best way to integrate all of those and avoid adaptation, or at least the kind that's going to flatline for you, I've seen 2 training systems that I think do it best. Number one is the West Side Conjugate method, as well as triple drops. So West Side, if you're not familiar with it, seeks to raise multiple strength qualities all simultaneously. And the way they do that is by using dedicated workouts to develop 3 strength qualities: max effort work, speed and dynamic work, and what they'll refer to as the repetition method, which is more what bodybuilders would be familiar with. It does work brilliantly once you determine how much of each to perform and dial in.
And you said it does work perfectly. We're having some connectivity issues today. So,
yeah.
Rob, you there?
Yeah, I can hear you.
You dropped out right after the word once. Okay. Right after the word once, you had dropped out.
Okay. So once Westside addresses those things, you will have max strength across the entire spectrum. So max effort work, repetition work, and speed and dynamic work. Now, as for the other method, triple drops, they are a great way to get work in everywhere from the 90th percentile of 1 rep max to 80% to 60% or below, depending upon how light your drops are. The only thing missing from that 60% and below work, your last of the 3 sets, is speed, given the fact that your muscles have been so depleted by the previous 2 sets. Overall, though, you can train and gain a long time using either method, much longer than sticking in just 1 rep range, which will flatline you eventually. So I hope that helps. Great question.
So someone just made a comment, and I want to put this up here, and they said, Carl, do we need to grant StreamYard permission to be able to comment live? Yes, you do. Absolutely. Otherwise, your comment looks like this. It just says Facebook user. It doesn't have your profile picture, so we don't know who you are. So if you're still watching, yes, if you have a question, please first grant StreamYard permission to be able to see your profile when you comment live. Thank you very much. Okay. The next question comes from Kenny O, and his last name is withheld by request. He says, I've decided to go to the dark side and realize I have a lot to learn. In your opinion, where's the best place to start?
The best place to start, in my opinion, is asking yourself this question. Have you maxed out your God-given genetics by training naturally first? And that's a difficult question to answer because it involves being brutally honest. And quite frankly, most people have already decided that they're going to the dark side, so no matter what. And so that question either doesn't get asked or it's not answered honestly. But just for the sake of argument, right, here are some of the questions I think you need to ask yourself. 1, have I been training for at least a decade to see what my body looks like after developing muscle maturity? Because I can tell you, I've known many a guy who started training at, let's say, age 25, and he got to 35 without using the drugs, and he was stunned by what he saw. Never looked or performed better at age 35. But if you never get to age 35, how would you know? If you're using drugs prior to that and you don't have at least a decade under the iron, you'll never know, what you'd look like at your zenith, in my opinion, at least aesthetically. And number 2, have you really eaten enough for a long enough period of time and gotten your body weight up as high as possible? Because your natural base will always be the limiting factor in what your gains are like when you do get on the stuff. Think about it like this. Drugs on top of a 250-pound natural base is going to get somebody a lot bigger and stronger than drugs on top of a 175-pound base.
And I want to mention something.
Yep.
I like to use automobile analogies a lot. If you kick nitrous in too early, the car doesn't run as fast as it can. It's same thing with anabolic steroids. So if you start out with drugs, then the gains you make will be built on the drugs and not a natural foundation of what your body can do. And when you cut the drugs out, you'll go back to where you should have been had you not used drugs and have to start climbing that hill again, and hopefully without drugs. So do it right the first time. You use the word foundation. It's a very accurate word here, because you don't want to build on a foundation of drugs. You want to build on a foundation of naturally obtained and maintained muscle, and then add the drugs in. Because then when you get off the drugs, you're going to get back to a point where you could live and think, I'm big enough. I can live like this. I'm fine.
Yeah. It's a great analogy. But there are other questions, but those are the two that I think you really need to answer, and you need to answer them honestly. If the answer to either one is no, I haven't done that yet, then you still have some work to do. If the answer to both of those is no, then you definitely have a lot of work to do.
Mhm.
In terms of steroid education, I still think Dan Duchesne's first two works, Underground Steroid Handbook and Mike Zampano, I still think those two stand the test of time. Now, there have been bigger, prettier, and more comprehensive texts on the subject. But in terms of educating the layperson who's interested in using steroids and the eating necessary, it's another big reason I like Duchesne's work, the eating necessary to maximize it. His original Underground Steroid Handbook and Underground Steroid Handbook 2 are still the benchmark, in my opinion. They're not perfect. There were some mistakes that were made, but they were relatively minor. Honorable mention, if you're going to read further, should go to Bill Llewellyn's Anabolics series of books, as well as his home testing kits, which are helping guys determine whether what they got is what they ordered. And a lot of times it isn't. So there's might be a little additional expense there, but you'll never go wrong investing in a little more education. Now, at least when it comes to steroids, the drugs themselves, they've changed little over the years. Testosterone, Deca, Dianabol, Anadrol, Winstrol, the drugs are more or less the same. Those haven't changed. What has changed, unfortunately, is one, counterfeits. Finding the real McCoy has gotten a lot more difficult. And number two, their legal status, it's only gotten worse, meaning the new steroid laws are a lot more draconian with extremely harsh penalties given. They changed the way that confiscated drugs are counted. Basically, they refer to it, I think, as steroid units. Well, whereas before, if they seized one big vial of whatever testosterone, it was one steroid unit. But now, because they count it, it has 30 doses in it, or 30 cc's. Well, guess what? Now it's 30 units. And you get popped in the school zone, and you can double your fund, whatever they're.
Yeah. They act like as though you're trying to sell this stuff to kids.
Yeah, exactly. So that has changed. Also, one other book that you need to read is Rick Collins's Legal Muscle. It's a must read in that regard. It's not just all about the laws surrounding such, but it will help educate you on the laws and what to do if you ever find yourself in legal trouble. A lot of guys get into a lot of trouble by giving away their rights. Sir, do you mind if I search your car? Well, yes, officer, I do. I don't consent to any searches. I'm not trying to be a wise guy, but rights are like muscles. If you don't exercise them once in a while, you lose them.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are a lot of guys sitting in jail that wouldn't be there today if they simply said that and exercised their rights. Anyway, finally, if you do go to the dark side, please work with a doctor, or at least attempt to monitor your health. No doctor is going to turn you into the authorities, okay? It just doesn't happen. You might get the lecture, you might get something else, but you're not going to, find the cops at your door and say, "Oop, my doctor told on me." No. You want baseline blood work when you're off the drugs to get a true baseline. And I think you want to do mid-cycle and post-cycle blood work to see what's working, what isn't, and what measures to take to mitigate side effects. And there are ways to do so. If you're on a lot of orals and they're heavy liver hitters, you can address that with Tutka, and there was something else I think that you mentioned, Carl.
To help with what again?
Liver function.
Well, obviously Silmarin is
Right.
powerful. Milk thistle is very, very powerful.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things out there that are really good for the liver.
Yeah, NAC, N-acetylcysteine.
Acetylcysteine or glutathione itself. Just
Right.
take liposomal glutathione.
Yep. So that's my take on things. It doesn't sound like you're ready. I think you know that. That's okay. Use this time to really, hammer down the fundamentals, train naturally, get as big as possible that way. And then if you're still not happy after 10 years under the iron, have at it. But do so being educated going into it. It's going to make a big difference.
Most people hear 10 years under the iron and they think, oh God, I got to train that long. You'll be making gains.
Yeah.
You look, first of all, you have to ask yourself a fundamental question. Am I doing this for the upcoming spring break, or am I doing this for the rest of my life? Number one.
Yeah.
And if your answer isn't the latter, stop wasting your time at any of it. But if you understand that this is a journey like every other journey, like learning, like any other journey in your life, and you're doing it for the rest of your life, well, 10 years from now, you're going to look back at this moment, and you will have put 10 years into this journey, into this the physical culture journey. So you're going to invest 10 years no matter what. The decision you have to make is, do I want to do it the right way or the wrong way? Do I want to be a douchebag about it, or do I want to actually do the work, earn the respect, treat my body with the respect that it deserves? That's the fundamental question here. Because if you hear Rob say, end in 10 years, and you go, oh man, I don't want to wait 10 years, then you're doing this for the wrong reason. You're doing this to try to fill some sort of hole in your soul that makes you feel inadequate, that you need to be big and muscular so people look at you differently. Well, I got news for you. They don't look at you differently. Or maybe the guys will look at you differently. And maybe that's what, if you just want to be scary and stuff like that, then you're doing this for the wrong reason, because as soon as you get to the point where you're scary and stuff, this is going to become boring and you're just going to become a fat schlub again. So you need to jump on board and understand that this is a lifelong journey, and that, I mean, I'm thinking 10 years ahead right now. I'm like 62. So when I'm 72, like, where do I want to be when I'm 72? I want to maintain the weight I can handle now for sure, and maybe even continue to make gains from now till then.
Yep.
So this is a lifelong journey. If you're discouraged by when Rob says put 10 years in, you go, oh, I don't want to wait that long, then you're doing this for the wrong reason. We got to answer a question for Samurai Jack, who's watching on YouTube.
What a great
He says,
name.
he said, what is your Z-Pack protocol? I'm assuming he's talking for COVID. And what is the earliest age one should start it? Oh, no. He's talking about, when he says that, he's talking about my Z-Pack protocol for anti-aging as a senolytic. Twice a year is adequate. So a single Z-Pack, which is 200, let me see, wait a minute. I think each of them is 500 milligrams each. So it's 2 tablets on day 1 and 1 tablet on days 2 through 5. I think that's 1,000 milligrams on day 1 and 500 milligrams on days 2 through 5. Will eradicate 97% of all senescent cells in your body. That's amazing. Now, there are some people who say, oh, but it's bad for your gut. And there are other people who say it's a horribly weak antibiotic. It doesn't even work well as an antibiotic. It worked through some other mechanism, because it also reduces chronic inflammation quickly. Why? Because it's getting rid of senescent cells.
Yeah.
But you just need to do it twice a year. And obviously, intermittent fasting and things like that contribute to not accumulating a lot of senescent cells. What age should you start? I think you could probably easily start in your late 30s. I really do.
For anti-aging.
I think when you start to cross that threshold of 40, that's when all the stuff starts changing in your body and you don't feel as good. So I would say, between 37 and maybe 40, I would start twice a year. That's it. That's all you need, twice a year. I hope that helps. I originally thought I was going to do them 4 times a year, but that's way too much, because I'm doing rapamycin once a week. So that's also eliminating some of the newly accumulated senescent cells on a week-to-week basis. So there you go. John Pellegrino says, from what I gather, you train a lot like I do. Very heavy weights, low reps and lots of rest between sets. I hate volume, even though I know I need more of it. What's the best way to get it?
It's a great question. I guess it's the training question week, which I love, but training heavy and very low volume, let's say, it will build thick, dense muscle fiber, right? Actual, real thickening of the muscle as opposed to volumizing it. The caveat being there is a critical threshold of volume, enough volume that is necessary. Just how much enough is up for debate, right? I mean, even if a certain range was identified, it would still likely be a highly individual matter. I see two methods that are optimal for hypertrophy. The first is performing a minimum of 5 and up to 10 sets when you're using low reps, meaning as low as 1 to 3. If you don't have the time or the patience for that, because you're going to be resting a fair amount between sets, I would consider solution number 2, ladders. I think I've talked about ladders here before, but as a refresher, ladders are kind of a sneaky way of getting the necessary volume into your workouts, and they take very little time. So I'll use chin-ups as an example. First, you perform your first set with 5 reps. You rest 10 to 30 seconds, and then you do 4 reps. Rest 10 to 30 seconds, and then 3 reps. 10 to 30, 2 reps. 10 to 30, 1 rep. That's one ladder. Okay. After completing that ladder, you again rest 30 seconds before doing the second ladder, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, right? All the way through to a third ladder. Performing 3 ladders in a row, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, is the ideal. If you've picked your weight correctly, you've come up maybe a little short in your third ladder, and it takes a second workout to complete all 3. That's okay, because the ideal before increasing weight is being able to do all 3 ladders, which, when we do the math, it's 45 reps. And that much volume to some people can be a real shock, because, even if you're used to a multi-set protocol, like 5 sets of 5, you're still comfortably exceeding that and or typical pyramids like 10, 8, 6, 6, right? Another tip on these ladders is you can perform them in the reverse insofar as reps. And so instead of starting with 5 reps, 5 reps on your first set, you start with 1, you go backwards. Interestingly, people almost universally find the reverse rep ladders easier than the first example I gave.
Isn't that funny? And they're doing the same volume of work.
It's the exact same number of reps, but it seems that if they start with 5 and go down to 1, those ladders are a lot easier than starting at 1 and going to 5. Either way you slice it, it's 45 reps with the same weight. It really tells you, I think, how much of a psychological game lifting really is. Now, if you're interested in a real challenge, then you can use that same ladder technique, but this time superset chins and dips, for example. You hit every muscle in the upper body, and you get the kind of volume that you need to grow. It's really a unique training style. I love using it. I don't use it all the time, but when I do use it, it's just what the doctor ordered. So
it's interesting. It kind of reminds me of escalating density training a little bit too, when if you're doing dips and chins at the same time.
Yeah, a little bit. Those, whether you call those supersets or jump sets,
giant sets, or
yeah.
We have a couple questions from the audience that we want to hit before we take our first break. So let's do this real quick. So the first one comes from Eleftheros Chatzidukas. Obviously Greek. Got to be Greek. Patrioti. Could you please compare carb cycling versus constant high carb diets for muscle building? That's a question for you.
Well, I think what we're talking about there is carb cycling is a much better way to address body composition changes. And the reason for that is a constant high carb diet. You have constantly high insulin levels, and that makes it almost impossible to burn body fat. Constant anything, and the body will get used to it quickly. So for that reason, carb cycling diets, such as, for example, the anabolic diet, I think are far, far superior, especially if bodybuilding and looking good is your ultimate objective. So,
okay. And the next question comes from Ian Musgrove, and this is more for me, I guess. He's asking for something to mitigate any possible stomach issues from taking the Z-Pack. Yes, probiotics, most specifically, some like, I would say, not just so much the Lactobacillus acidophilus or the Lactobacillus strains, but the bifidobacteria, which is a highly accumulated and very healthy lean people. So if you're going to kill some of the lawn, you want to plant good seeds. I would focus on consuming, and I would not take the probiotics 8 hours before or 8 hours after. Okay, you don't want. I think it's actually 4 hours before, 8 hours after. So I would take the Z-Pack, the zithromycin first thing in the morning, and then I would wait till around 8 o'clock at night or 9 o'clock at night to take my probiotic, because you don't want them to compete, because the probiotic may make the Z-Pack less effective, and the Z-Pack may wipe out the good bacteria that you're trying to plant. So that's the way I would do it. But yeah, probiotics, that's gold when you're doing something like that. All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we have lots more questions, both from live listeners. Thank you for participating, and also the ones that were mailed in before. In the meantime, check out CoachRobRegish.com, where you can find all this information on tap whenever you want it. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Do you remember those delicious toaster pastries you had when you were a kid? You know, the rectangular sugar-filled snacks? Well, guess what? Legendary Foods has just made low-carb toaster pastry. This is the first of its kind, and honestly, these things are amazing. They have 3 to 4 net carb, less than 1 gram of sugar, and 9 grams of protein. You can eat them right out of the wrapper or lightly toast them. The only question is, which flavor, strawberry or brown sugar cinnamon? They're available at eatlegendary.com and Amazon. I love beef. And if you love beef, listen up. I've discovered the best tasting beef in the world, and that's not an exaggeration, at Piedmontese.com. The Piedmontese breed is famous from Italy for being lean and unbelievably tender, with half the fat and calories of traditional beef. Even typically tough cuts are tender when it comes from the Piedmontese cows. And for the first time ever, Piedmontese cows are being raised here in the USA. Get 25% off all beef and free shipping on orders of $100 or more at Piedmontese.com with code SHR. Go to Piedmontese.com and use code SHR today. You will never eat any other type of beef ever again. Whether your goal is to build muscle or burn fat, you'll find everything you need at Redcon One. Need help getting a good night's sleep? Try Fade Out, or the most popular pre-workout supplement on the market today, Total War. Sign up for their new Transformation Challenge and win $10,000, or shop for apparel that people at the gym will know that you are serious about your training. Need a testosterone booster that works? Check out Boomstick. Whatever you need, you'll find the best quality supplements on the market at Redcon One. Go to redcon1.com. That's REDCON, the number 1.com, or go to superhumanradio.net and click the Redcon One banner ad today. Guys, you've heard about this revolutionary acoustic wave technology that improves your sexual performance. It's been used in Europe for 20 years and has a 90% success rate of reversing symptoms of ED. Even if you're not suffering from ED, it can take you back to peak sexual performance of your younger days. The Phoenix uses powerful sound waves to clear plaque blockage and substantially increase blood flow. It's easy to use, has no side effects, and can be done in the privacy of your own home. Doctors have been charging thousands of dollars for these treatments. Go to shrnetwork.biz/Phoenix and use the code SHR for a special superhuman deal. Regain your sexual prowess today.
Quest Nutrition makes bars, cookies, chips, and pizzas out of complete dairy-based proteins. Our products minimize net carbs and sugar without sacrificing taste. Each delicious chocolate-flavored chip, cookie chunk, and crunchy crumble is custom made to maintain Quest macros. It's time to enjoy foods that work for you, not against you. It's time to enjoy your Quest.
You've heard me talk about the chill pill on the show and how effective it is at helping people who suffer from social anxiety, or sometimes when you just want to take the edge off to a long, stressful day. Well, listen to this story from Dylan Goutreau.
Definitely takes anxiety away, which I have a long history of having. Started out at 2 milligrams a day of Xanax. That was at 8 years old. And so I stopped using benzos 3 years ago. Extremely difficult. Yeah, so I spent about 3 years trying to find anything and everything I could that would be healthy for me to help with anxiety. Because I'm talking, full out panic attack. The chill pill was the first thing that I found that actually in the middle of a panic attack I can take, and it definitely subsides.
Go to drseeds.com. That's DRSEEDS.com. Use coupon code SHR and save 20% off your first bottle of the chill pill. Check it out. I promise this is one supplement that delivers.
This is the Superhuman Channel, where brawn and brains finally meet.
Welcome back. The next question comes from Randy Anderson. So I'm a small guy, and I find lifting difficult. At just 5'5" and 160 pounds, I'm already at a disadvantage. To make matters worse, I'm cursed with long arms, so I can't bench press. What can I do to maximize my efforts in the gym?
Well, I think the first thing you can do is stop lamenting your physical stats, and there's good reason for that. So I think he mentioned, right, he's on the short side, 5'5", but
Lee Priest is 5'5".
Yeah, exactly. You may have heard of a guy called Louis Simmons, and also a guy by the name of Ed Cohn. Ed Cohn is listed at 5 feet 6 inches tall. And having met him once, I would tell you that might be generous. He's one of the strongest men, though, that ever lived. I don't know how tall Louis is, but I'm betting he's not much taller, right? The fact of the matter, though, is this: these men in powerlifting circles and elsewhere are revered as borderline gods in their sport, not just for their cerebral contributions to training, but the actual training itself in the setting of world records. I'm not sure what level you're at in strength training, but let me assure you, if Ed Cohn or Louis Simmons are talking, nobody is thinking about their height. If they're smart, they're listening and they're learning and maybe even asking questions. The point being, your height means nothing. Nothing. In fact, it might be an advantage, or is an advantage, when squatting and deadlifting. Those same long arms that you're complaining about on the bench are an absolute godsend on the deadlift, because you don't have to move the weight as far. So you can start right there. Forget about being too short. Forget about having arms that are too long, to this and to that. It's a matter of perspective. Next, I would focus your efforts on the deadlift, because it sounds like you're, physiologically set up for it. There's no finer movement insofar as stimulating muscle growth, because there's arguably no movement that works more muscle simultaneously. So right off the bat, we know two things. You don't have to stand up as high, right, because of your height, and your long arms complete the lift faster. There's less of a range of motion. Those are two huge advantages. And as such, I would build your program around the deadlift, and use that as what I call a driver, a core or driver movement, to make the rest of your program that much more effective. You show me two guys. One guy does the bench press, the chin ups, and a few other movements, right, for his upper body. Give me the second guy who does the same exact thing, but deadlifts hard once a week. That second guy is going to build tons more muscle than the guy that's just working his upper body. So you also need to get into the movement and learn some of the finer nuances. For example, train it in sumo style to see if that works for you. Not only is it safer for most people, insofar as the lower back, but also the wide stance is going to cut down on the bar stroke, right? It's going to cut down even further on top of the other two advantages you have.
Yeah, you may have to only move the bar 3 inches to win a competition.
Yeah,
really.
Exactly.
If you get wide enough and you have long arms, I mean, literally, you could almost be standing up and the bar is still on the floor.
Yeah. So look, here's the bottom line. We're all dealt a certain hand in life, right? What matters is not the hand that you're dealt, but rather how you play it. And remember that. And I'm quite certain your future in strength training, if you do remember it, will be a lot brighter and a lot more satisfying. Some things you can't change. I can't change the fact that I was born extremely skinny and spent a lifetime trying to put weight on. But it never once occurred to me that, oh, gee, since it's going to be hard, I guess I just won't do it. No, I knew what I wanted. I went out and got it. You should do the same.
I'm actually texting somebody about a question we have. Rigo Vargas, sit tight. I'm going to get you your answer. Okay. Next question comes from Johnny Gray. We haven't had a question from Johnny Gray in a while.
Yeah, but he's got a good one here.
He says, I've just switched to intermittent fasting and love it. One issue, though, I can't seem to keep my weight up. I do eat as much as possible at my one meal. Who told you intermittent fasting required you to eat one meal a day? Though, and nothing else has changed. A lot has changed, in my opinion. Go ahead. I have a feeling you feel the same way I do. Go ahead.
Yeah, to your point, before we get rolling, intermittent fasting, some iterations recommend one meal a day, but really the most effective ones that I've seen give you a range, right, of like 16 hours fasting and 8, eating, or 20 and 4, or you know what I mean? So think about it as a range and what you can eat during that time, as opposed to one meal. So, having said that, intermittent fasting, as most people practice it, really isn't, I think, the ideal for bulking up or putting on large amounts of muscle. At least that's what most people will tell you. Now, it is true, some people actually lose some lean body mass when initiating intermittent fasting. Personally, I think that's simply due to an exaggerated cortisol response, which in time your body will adapt to, and then greatly improve your body's ability to handle full-blown catabolic situations. We talked about bugging out at the top of the show. You're not going to be eating 7 small meals, perfectly balanced small meals a day. You'll be lucky if you're eating once a day. This is an example of something, intermittent fasting, that's going to teach your body to deal with those types of situations much better. When queried, when I ask people, I notice that they also have difficulty, right, in eating enough in one sitting, if that's their interpretation of it, at least early on. Certain body types are also more prone to lean body mass loss, like extreme ectomorphs. Having said all of that, intermittent fasting can be manipulated to gain muscle. It's more difficult than using traditional methods, but then again, it's not going to put as much fat on you as traditional methods. The real trick, I think, if there is one, is to time your exercise with eating. Breaking your fast, as it were, and really ramping up protein intake at those 1, 2, or however many meals you can get in 6 or 8 hours. So here's how I did it at first. This was 20 years ago. After training, I ate as much as 100 grams of protein in one sitting, which was my total for the day. And what I found, interestingly enough, was that my body could retain and even gain a little bit of muscle on 100 grams versus the 200 that I was previously consuming. I don't know if there are any studies looking at this, but I feel pretty strongly that the demand caused by exercise, tissue damage, etc., allowed me to absorb and utilize the vast majority of protein and food that I was consuming, right? I got this protein bolus right after exercise. And I got to tell you, it felt like I used every gram of it. And it was so easy, right? Because a good sized steak is what, 80 grams of protein, depending on the cut. When you add in protein from other sources, such as, other foods, shakes, etc., it's pie simple to hit 100 grams a day for the day. I'm not saying that's optimal, but what I am telling you is it makes your body very thrifty and very efficient with all macronutrients, not just carbs and protein. Now, if you still need more calories at this meal, mix up some Thrive in heavy cream. Absolutely delicious and about 500 calories per shake and 25 grams of protein, at least how I made it. Remember, a cup of heavy cream has 1,000 calories, so it adds up quick. And remember, it's a lot easier to drink 1,000 calories than it is to eat it in whole food. So if you need to bump up calories further, that's how I would suggest doing it. Also, I found keeping my carbs low during the week, 50 grams or under, rotated with high carb, high frequency meals on the weekends worked really, really well. So I used one method, intermittent fasting, to potentiate my body's ability to make the most of traditional 5 to 7 small meals a day. I never did that for more than 2 days. Why? Because after that, it started accumulating on my waist, right? There are merits to intermittent fasting. There are merits to eating small meals frequently. The key is to leverage both of them with an eye towards timing your intake with resistance exercise. If you've been intermittent fasting and losing too fast, or you're losing too much muscle, you can also periodically introduce those carb refeeds. In extreme endomorphs that are sensitive to carbs, that might mean one high carb meal every third or fourth day. That was a favorite of Vince Gironda. In extreme ectomorphs, you may need a full 48 hours of high carbs every 5 days, or maybe even sooner. The point is, everybody's different. Experiment, okay? More than one way of skinning that cat. If you're losing too fast, some sort of refeed is usually the fix. How much, how long, and how frequently are questions only you can answer, unfortunately. On the positive side, it doesn't take much trial and error, I think, to find those answers. So that would be my take on it. I'm sorry it was so long.
I want to throw something in here. First of all, there's a huge difference between trying to stay alive and trying to build muscle.
Yeah,
on opposite ends of the physical spectrum. Intermittent fasting is fantastic for reducing calories. The outcome of intermittent fast, when calories are maintained, or 5 meals a day when calories are maintained, is negligible. Recently, just a study just came out. It showed that intermittent fasting did not make the individuals lose more body fat than the individuals who ate a U-calorie diet, but they did it in 5 meals a day.
Yeah.
So intermittent fasting is super duper convenient because you don't have to meal prep. Time restricted feeding is really what intermittent fasting is. The window for body recomposition, you just need to fast for 16 hours. I don't know why you're eating only one meal. Even when I was doing extreme intermittent fasting experiments using loads of peptides and drugs to see what would happen, I still ate 2 meals a day. Don Layman's group in Illinois, University of Illinois, they proved that more muscle is built, more protein synthesis occurs when protein is pulsed.
Yeah.
Now, can you pulse it twice a day? Sure, that's going to be better than once a day. And also, how many calories are you eating in this meal? If you need 2,500 calories a day just to maintain and not build, so you need 3,000 calories a day ongoing to build, are you getting 3,000 calories in that one meal? You should know that if you really like, because otherwise you can't conclude it's working or not working. Maybe it is working if you added 500 calories a day more to that one meal.
Right.
So there's a lot of unanswered questions here, but I don't think it's necessary to eat just one meal a day. I think you can eat 2. Your post-workout meal and maybe a meal later in the evening around 6 o'clock. Boom, 2 meals. And you're getting 2 pulses that are going to increase protein synthetic response.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if anybody's on the fence about doing it, here's what convinced me to try. Even if it works the same as your regular diet, it's a win because you don't have to lug Tupperware around with you everywhere. Even if your body doesn't change at all, you win. It's just so much more convenient.
Okay, so we got a lot of questions we got to get to. The first one, Rigo Vargas, I have texted someone in the peptide business, and they have not responded. Rigo says, what's your opinion of the FDA's new bulk drug substances definition? I need to read more, but my understanding combined the definition of protein and chemically synthesized polypeptide, which will affect production of peptides. Is there any truth to that? There is some truth to some of it. But actually, this has been around for a long time. There's a lot of things, even stevia, believe it or not, is on the FDA's radar list with these new appropriations of these new. But I just texted somebody. I'll wait till they get back. Bro, do you even towel row says, question, does GABA need to be cycled? In my humble opinion, no, but you're wasting your time taking GABA. Use glycine instead.
Yeah.
Glycine increases brain GABA 5-fold over taking GABA. And plus, taking GABA can also stimulate thyroid hormone production in the middle of the night. So there's some things there that you may or may not want. What do you think? You need to cycle it if you are going to use GABA?
No, there's nothing showing that it needs to be cycled. I wouldn't call it a total wasting your time if you're using it to improve your sleep, which it works like a charm there. And I've always liked GABA because it's cheap, it works, and it's effective. And sleep is a big, big deal. Now, I also use glycine. Used it last night. Nothing saying that you can't rotate the two. In fact, you may get a better response from both. I know at least in glycine's case, when they looked at repeated doses, there was some sort of adaptation to it. I don't know that I saw the same thing on GABA, but as I recommend on almost all supplements, cycle them. If nothing else, they're going to tell you if they're working. Do you feel it when you come off? Yes. Okay. That thing's doing something. So no reason to cycle GABA though, as far as I'm aware.
Okay. So the next question comes from the same guy. Bro, do you even towel road? Asking if EAAs actually have calories. And if so, do you measure them the same way you measure protein calories, which would be 4 calories per gram? Now, I've always assumed they had some calories because they can be utilized for energy. But I'm reading from Flexible Lifestyle. I'm sorry, myleanfitness.com. They say, simply put, if a product only contains free-form amino acids, no carbs or fats, it's technically listed as having 0 protein. Because remember, proteins are not just one amino acid. Proteins are structured from multiple amino acids, depending on the protein. Zero carbs, zero fat, of course, and therefore 0 calories. So you don't count calories of free-form amino acids. Now, EAAs have what, 7 or not, what is it, 9 amino acids, Rob?
Yes, no, the 9 essential aminos.
Okay. So maybe they do have calories, but who cares? They're not going to contribute to your dietary intake because they literally pass through the lining of the stomach and right into the blood.
Yeah, that was going to be my answer. Even if they do, I don't think they do, but even if they do, it's negligible and it's not really going to affect your energy balance, at least, for the day.
This one comes from, sorry, I'm having an allergy attack. Robert David. He says, I took Carl's advice about copper supplements. Just a quick question to both of you. Is this still good if a person is on TRT? Of course it is. I take copper. Just wondering about the red blood cells. Thanks. I will listen after I get back to work. Oh, Carl, listen to you on YouTube too. So either platform is great. Always a great show. So no, I wouldn't worry about copper and red blood cells. In fact, copper keeps iron from getting too high in red blood cells. And we're not talking about taking mega doses, stupid doses of copper. We're talking about taking 1 milligram or 2 of copper a day. And chances are most people aren't getting enough copper in their diet anyway. So you don't have to worry about it. But you can always get blood work done, obviously. Let's see. Okay. Technically, I use injectable GABA. That's very cool. I used to make transdermal GABA. It worked. That's cool. 50 milligrams. 50 milligrams. I don't know what the bioavailability of orally administered GABA is. So I don't know how to rate that against that. But yeah, I mean, GABA is great. It's if it works for you, it works for you. Some people get agitated and become wired from GABA. That's because of its effect on the thyroid.
Yeah.
It does affect it.
Interesting stuff. I didn't know there was an injectable. Maybe it's a homemade. I don't know.
I used to put injectable EAAs.
Interesting. Yeah. Oh, that's right. I remember you saying that.
Yeah. Years ago, back in 2008, I used to get 50 milligram and 100 milligram vials of injectable EAAs. I used them for a while. But I think that if you're consuming that much protein, as I have my entire life, I don't think you need injectable EAAs, to be honest with you.
No, there's, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say we're going to take a break, and then we have the blueprint tip of the day when we come back. And then later, stick around, because after the blueprint tip of the day, I am going to reveal the greatest peptide stack for recovery I've ever stumbled upon. I've been working on this for years. I've been combining, removing. I have a peptide stack that I swear to you, I am not lying about this. I feel like I can train a second time the same day, the same body parts. Fatigue and everything gone. Yeah, I'm gonna. It's not cheap to do, but it works. It works. All right, let's do this. Let's take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back with more Superhuman Radio.
New Mass Pro Synthogen X2 just upped its own legendary game. To distance itself even further from the rest of the pack, Synthogen X2 now has double the key active ingredients. If you've ever wondered what steroid-like recovery feels like, Synthogen X2 delivers. See why others compare it favorably to powerful bodybuilding drugs at synthogen.com. Mass Pro Synthogen. When you train with it, you'll gain with it. When craving a snack, reach for Select Savory Snack Sugar-Free Biltong, the healthy alternative to sugar-laden beef jerky. They use a fattier cut of beef, making it more tender and flavorful. For mealtime, choose from their 63 seasonings, which are sugar and additive-free. From chipotle rub to savory pumpkin spice, you'll find an option to suit your palate. Go to shrnetwork.biz/SSS today. Use code SHR15 to save 15% on any meat snack or seasoning. Savor the flavor today.
Do you remember those delicious toaster pastries you had when you were a kid? You know, the rectangular sugar-filled snacks? Well, guess what? Legendary Foods has just made low-carb toaster pastry. This is the first of its kind, and honestly, these things are amazing. They have 3 to 4 net carb, less than 1 gram of sugar, and 9 grams of protein. You can eat them right out of the wrapper or lightly toast them. The only question is, which flavor, strawberry or brown sugar cinnamon? They're available at eatlegendary.com and Amazon. Chronic stress leaves us tired, distracted, and physically vulnerable. Apollo Neuro is here to help you take control. Apollo Neuro is a new wearable that trains your nervous system to be more resilient to stress. Apollo's gentle vibrations use your sense of touch to help you recover from stress, going from fight or flight to rest and digest so you can relax, get to sleep, focus, and stay healthy. Developed by physicians and neuroscientists, Apollo Neuro has been tested in multiple clinical trials and is proven to improve heart rate variability, the key biometric of stress. Special offer for friends of Superhuman Radio. Try Apollo Neuro today and get 15% off your purchase at apolloneuro.com/superhuman. That's APOLLONEURO.com/superhuman. Everybody wants to feel better, be healthier and happier. If you don't sweat profusely on a regular basis, you won't feel as good as you could. Studies have shown the power of infrared sauna. Infrared penetrates 1 to 2 inches into the body. It helps those with back pain, fibromyalgia, arthritis, depression, and anxiety. Patients get relief from infrared sauna. The Good Health Sauna has been shown to be an exercise mimetic, conveying many of the same benefits as cardio. There are a lot of reasons people buy a Good Health Sauna, but the bottom line is you will be a much happier, healthier person by using the Good Health Sauna every day. You'll crave it, you'll love it, and it will be the best purchase you have ever made. Good Health Saunas provide commercial-grade saunas for in-home and commercial use, backed by the best lifetime warranty in the industry. Unmatched customer service and best financing makes owning one easy and will fit any budget. Go to goodhealthsauna.com/superhumanradio to learn more and save 25% off.
Mind Bullet is a kratom product derived from the coffee family to boost energy and creative juices. Mind Bullet comes in both pill and liquid form for the ultimate pre-workout supplement. When needing a little pick-me-up or to get through the morning fog, Mind Bullet will set your productive course fast. Go to shrnetwork.biz/mindbullet, all one word, today, and save 20%. No subscription required. That's shrnetwork.biz/mindbullet. Get yours today.
Move over, superheroes. This is the Superhuman Channel.
So yesterday, I didn't have a chance to prepare any food, and I had to get to the studio. I couldn't stop and pick up any food. Like today, I picked up 6 eggs and 3 sausage patties post-workout from Wendy's. You can buy just the eggs and the sausage patties at Wendy's, by the way. It's great. So yesterday, I did have a protein shake in the morning because it was my off day, but I ate an entire pound of biltong yesterday.
Oh, wow.
256 grams of protein in biltong because it's 3 to 1. It's 16 grams of protein per ounce, and there's 16 ounces in here. So this was like 256 or 251, and then I had a shake in the morning that was 56 grams. So I had 311 or 315 grams of protein yesterday, thanks to biltong. This stuff is amazing, man.
It's the tastiest protein. That's an honest review. It's the tastiest protein I've ever had, outside of with a shake, if that's your deal. But I still think it's better than a shake to me because it satisfies me for a lot longer time.
Yeah, and it's real food. It's beef. It's
right.
Beef. What's better than that for building muscles? It's beef. But it's funny because I just got 10 pounds and I'm already like 2 pounds down. So it goes fast in my hands. I love this stuff. It's fantastic. If you want to try it, go to shrnetwork.biz/SSS. That's lowercase SSS. shrnetwork.biz/SSS. Check it out. You'll love it.
Yep.
What's the blueprint tip of the day, brother?
Tip of the day is called My Favorite Movement. And this tip of the day was actually the suggestion of a listener who wrote me, and he said this, might help a lot of people that are looking to construct routines. And so he basically wanted to know my 10 favorite movements in the gym. And it it is an important topic, right? Because exercise selection can make or break you quite literally. I should tell you up front, I tend to slant everything that I do towards pure strength work, although there's a lot of overlap here if your game is pure muscle hypertrophy. Half of them are body weight oriented, and the other half are traditional weight movements. I didn't set out to do that on purpose, but that's what it was. Yeah. So what follows are my favorite movements and a little bit of color commentary as to why. Number one on the list has to be deadlifts, whether that's done with an Olympic bar, a trap bar, or even holding heavy dumbbells. The deadlift is the mainstay and the driver movement for the rest of my program. Why? Because it is arguably the movement that recruits the most muscle. And when you're dealing with limited time and energy, you need to get the most bang for your buck. And the deadlift does it. It also does a great job, and this is really important, of teaching your central nervous system to contract all of that muscle simultaneously, which is the real key to, I think, superhuman strength. Number two on the list is squats. Regular free squats if your goal is pure hypertrophy. Box squats if your goal is strength. And of course, there are an infinite number of variations. Leverage squats, dumbbell squats, belt squats, pistols, one-legged squats. So many varieties, yet so many people avoid them. No matter who you are, what your level of development is, there's a squat for you. Find it, use it. Number three, believe it or not, step-ups, weighted step-ups. Often overlooked, but devastatingly effective. They offer most of the benefits of squats with less risk of injury. Provided you're using enough weight, you will also get one of the best conditioning workouts of your life when you see how you're huffing and puffing. Number four, chin-ups. Whether you call them chin-ups or pull-ups or whatever, the simple act of pulling oneself up is one of, if not the most natural, authentic movements that you can perform. They are also incredibly safe, and here's the big reason that I like them. They keep you honest as far as the bulking up department, right? Gain 10 pounds? Great. Was it 10 pounds of fat or muscle? You'll find out real fast when you do your chin-ups. Number five, and related, dips, particularly when paired with those chin-ups. They are a superior exercise to the bench press, especially when it comes to stimulating muscle growth, and even the push-up. Why? Well, think about it. Just like the chin-up, you are forced to, or asked to, move 100% of your body weight. And whatever else weight you can strap onto you. You can't say that about the push-up, although that's a fine movement as well, okay? Which brings us to handstand push-ups. Maybe the ultimate variation of it, depending upon which muscles you want to work. I would tell you that if overhead lifting hurts your shoulders, elbows, or anything else, put the work in to learn the handstand push-up. It's a smart play all around. In fact, whether you have shoulder or other issues or not, pursuing handstand push-ups and all that they give back is a very smart move. They develop insane levels of power. And unlike most weightlifting movements, they strengthen instead of wear down the joints. Plus, let's face it, they're just cool, right? They're cool. You can bust out a set anywhere, say you're at a party, and people instantly know this dude is one strong person. Number seven, breathing pullovers. Whether you do them with a dumbbell, an easy curl bar, or a well-designed machine, pullover machine, nothing quite delivers like the loaded stretch that this movement imparts, particularly the long head of the tricep. And if you've done these before with any decent amount of weight, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It is also the one back movement that effectively removes the limiting muscle group, which would be your biceps, from most pulling motions, and thus allows you to train to true muscular failure. By the way, even though my long bone growth was frozen a long time ago, I still perform the breathing variety because nothing comes close to the feeling and the results that you get. They really are phenomenal. Number 8, one arm rows, one arm dumbbell rows, or you can do them with a barbell as well. If your gym has heavy enough dumbbells, this is a fantastic movement for the back, the biceps, and this is the big one. And most people don't think about it, but it's true, your rear delts. Okay, so early on, I was taught vertical rows for width, horizontal rows for thickness. And I found that to be very, very accurate over the years. And that's what one arm dumbbell rows deliver, right? That thickness, plenty of back thickness, especially, you should be adding weight as you get progressively stronger. That back really starts to take off. Number 9 would be the clean and jerk. Now, yes, it involves momentum, and quickly sneaking under the bar is another part of that lift, and the big one. And no, there's not much of a negative, if any. But think about it. Nothing teaches your central nervous system to be fast quite like this movement. Funny thing, too, I notice guys that have the strongest cleans or clean and jerks, they always have the best backs. That is no coincidence, in my opinion. Great movement. Number 10, final movement. I was going to say push-ups, and believe me, push-ups are a fine movement for any number of reasons. But I would tell you here, because I didn't want to leave it off the list, bridging. I consider the bridge or some form of it essential. And here's why. It literally took me from having a glass back to the back that I had in my 20s. And no, I am not kidding. I currently perform wall walks, but any bridging, any form of bridging is going to help you. Also, you're going to find out quickly as you get into it that it is a whole body movement. Nothing is left untouched in a positive way. And believe me, you'll feel that, especially when you start working some of the more advanced version of the bridge, and also for higher reps. It is a complete workout. There is even a cardiovascular component. So if I'm training someone and they're doing heavy squats and deadlifts, and like I'm teaching my son right now, the deal is this: if you're going to do that, then we also need to give equal attention to either reverse hypers or some form of bridging, or both. Okay, to put back, to nourish the back, to nourish the discs with blood flow, and so on and so forth. So there you have it. Those are my 10 favorite movements and a little commentary as to why. I firmly believe that if most people kept their training to just these moves, and poured in the elbow grease, there'd be a whole lot more muscle in the world than what you see now.
When you talk about bridging, you mean bridging for the neck, right?
No, bridging for the back. Well, primarily it's considered a back movement. But as an example, laying flat on your back on the ground, you place your hands, the palms of your hands, on the floor, right by the side of your head, and push with your arms and legs, push yourself up till you are forming a bridge.
Ah, okay.
Thus the name of the movement. But also understand that there are other variations of the bridge, like the wall walks that I perform, that are just fantastic. I can't say enough about them. And, you go into gyms today, nobody's bridging. Nobody's bridging. So that should be a pretty good indicator.
Well, it'd be a good conversation starter too in the gym.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
We're going to take our last commercial break. When we come back, I'm going to reveal what I've discovered to be the greatest recovery stack of peptides that I've ever used. And I say that with all honesty. So stay tuned. We'll be right back with more Superhuman Radio. and the BluePrint Power Hour. Are you still on the fence about body protection complex BPC Oral from drseeds.com? Listen to Maggie Kuhn, one of the owners of the C-Bus Lifting Company gym in Columbus, Ohio.
I had been having some nagging tendon issues that weren't injuries, just things that were annoying. You know, I'm 58 years old, so just older tendon kind of issues. For us powerlifters, you know, we really don't stop training when we have just nagging issues. We just kind of keep pushing through. And I started the BPC. What I noticed was I was doing some heavy tricep stuff that would have killed me before when I had an elbow problem, and I was able to do this with literally no pain at all.
Go to drseeds.com, drseeds.com. Use coupon code SHR and save 20% off your bottle of BPC Body Protection Complex today. You've heard me talk about the chill pill on the show and how effective it is at helping people who suffer from social anxiety, or sometimes when you just want to take the edge off to a long, stressful day. Well, listen to this story from Dylan Goutreau.
Definitely takes the anxiety away, which I have a long history of having. Started out at 2 milligrams a day of Xanax. That was at 8 years old. And so I stopped using benzos 3 years ago. Extremely difficult. Yeah, so I spent about 3 years trying to find anything and everything I could that would be healthy for me to help with anxiety. Because I'm talking, you know, full out panic attack. The chill pill was the first thing that I found that actually in the middle of a panic attack I can take, and it definitely subsides.
Go to drseeds.com. That's drseeds.com. Use coupon code SHR and save 20% off your first bottle of the chill pill. Check it out. I promise this is one supplement that delivers.
Proper hydration can lead to improved endurance, performance, and recovery. When we sweat, we lose valuable electrolytes that must be replaced. That's why Element created a zero-sugar, science-backed ratio of electrolytes that you can add to your water. It comes in 3 flavors. Sample them all risk-free with the Element Variety Pack. Carl's favorite is raspberry. Free shipping on all U.S. orders. Go to shrnetwork.biz/LMNT and get yours today.
My friends over at Bioptimizers, makers of industry-leading digestive supplements, have created a special recipe for you that helps boost brain performance in the morning. They make products Primergen V and Primergen M, potent liquid vitamins and mineral formulas loaded with absorbable vitamin Bs and trace minerals in a fulvic and humic acid base. You stack that with 3 capsules of Capex, their enzyme and energy supplement, and the effect is even stronger. You'll be buzzing without jitters or any negative side effects for hours. Bioptimizers calls this the Brain Boost Stack, and they're running a special promotion for you at shrnetwork.biz/brainstack. That's shrnetwork.biz/brainstack. You can get an additional 10% off from the normal package price with the coupon code SHR10. It's a powerful way to get your brain going and optimize your daily focus, memory, and performance. Guys, you've heard about this revolutionary acoustic wave technology that improves your sexual performance. It's been used in Europe for 20 years and has a 90% success rate of reversing symptoms of ED. Even if you're not suffering from ED, it can take you back to peak sexual performance of your younger days. The Phoenix uses powerful sound waves to clear plaque blockage and substantially increase blood flow. It's easy to use, has no side effects, and can be done in the privacy of your own home. Doctors have been charging thousands of dollars for these treatments. Go to shrnetwork.biz/Phoenix and use the code SHR for a special superhuman deal. Regain your sexual prowess today. Whether your goal is to build muscle or burn fat, you'll find everything you need at Redcon One. Need help getting a good night's sleep? Try Fade Out, or the most popular pre-workout supplement on the market today, Total War. Sign up for their new Transformation Challenge and win $10,000, or shop for apparel that people at the gym will know that you are serious about your training. Need a testosterone booster that works? Check out Boomstick. Whatever you need, you'll find the best quality supplements on the market at Redcon One. Go to redcon1.com. That's REDCON1.com, or go to superhumanradio.net and click the Redcon One banner ads today.
You're listening to the Superhuman Channel. Don't hate us because we feel good.
Welcome back. So what you see to your right is a picture of my car steering wheel and my hand holding a syringe with about 0.8 of a milliliter of fluid in it. And this is my post-workout peptide stack. And I can tell you this in complete honesty. For me, I haven't had anybody else try it, so I don't know. But for me, I take this shot as soon as I get out of the gym. I eat a meal within a half hour to 40 minutes of taking that shot. And an hour and a half or so after I've trained, I have no more fatigue. I literally feel like, I think, my God, I feel like I could train again right now. And I'm adding muscle. And I really think it's because of a combination of things. I've always eaten high protein. That's not new. I've always trained hard, but I am training in a different way. A couple people out there have jumped on board. I'm getting, I got an email from Rigo Vargas twice, and he said it's insane how his muscles feel pumped all day long. But what I really think is causing me to gain a fullness in my muscles that I haven't had in a long time is this injection right here. So what's in it? Everybody wants to know what's in it. So here's what it is.
I have my notebook ready.
I'm going to pop it up here. Now, the first thing that's in it is growth hormone. And some of you are going to say, but I don't have growth hormone and I can't get growth hormone. You don't have to have growth hormone. I added it in anyway, and I'll explain. The stack is made of 2 IUs of growth hormone, 75 IUs of oxytocin. What is that little? I don't know what that little thing is, object. 500 micrograms of BPC 157, 500 micrograms of thymosin beta 4, 200 micrograms of growth hormone releasing hormone, which you can buy in either as CJC 1295 without DAC or modified growth releasing factor 29, either one. And 200 micrograms of GHRP6, specifically, not GHRP2, and 500 micrograms of mechanogrowth factor. Not the pegylated, just the regular plain old mechanogrowth factor that your body recognizes, not the long-lasting one.
Is the thymosin beta 4, is that the TB500 also?
Yeah, they call it, yeah. And so peptide sciences, they call it TB500, but it's thymosin beta 4.
Okay.
Okay. The growth hormone. So people say to me, Carl, why would you take growth hormone with a growth hormone releasing hormone and a growth hormone releasing peptide? And the reason is this. Growth hormone would never occur on its own. It would always occur with a pituitary influence from growth hormone releasing hormone, as well as a somatostatin suppressor like GHRP6. Your body's never going to produce growth hormone without those other things being there. So it's very appropriate to have all three of them together. Now, if you can't get growth hormone, fine. Just use the growth hormone releasing hormone, CJC 1295 without DAC, and growth hormone releasing peptide number 6. So just use those. Use them if you're a large man. Try between 100 micrograms and 200 micrograms of each. That's the starting point with those. BPC 157, we all know what that does post-workout. It's magic. But BPC 157 works by directing growth factors. So BPC 157 is like the job superintendent. Says, hey, we need to fix over here. We need to fix over there. But if no workers show up, BPC 157 can't do anything. So by having all the workers show up, which is the growth hormone and the 2 growth hormone secretagogues, BPC 157 works better. Thymosin beta 4 is fantastic because it will help to increase red blood cells. It will help to stimulate the immune system. People say, well, Carl, why do we have to look at the immune system for recovery? Okay, so what's one of the things that plays a role in recovery? Inflammation, right? And inflammation is the army of the immune system. Yeah. And getting inflammation to resolve is the key. Thymosin beta 4 does that. It was first discovered and used in racehorses and then humans. It helps you recover faster. We know that. Add to that, and this one people they can't get their head around. Add to that oxytocin. I'm about to do a show with Dr. Betsy Yurt that's going to rock the bodybuilding world. All I will say to you is this, that oxytocin produces some of the same results, muscle building results, as trenbolone without the trenbolone. You have to use fairly high doses. I currently am using 150 IUs 3 times a day right now. It's very inexpensive too. But in this shot, I just use 75 IUs. And then last but not least, mechano growth factor, which is called IGF-1EC. And then people say, well, Carl, if you have all this growth hormone, what do you need MGF for? Because by the presence of MGF being there, more of the IGF-1 is conserved. It's not converted to IGF-1EC. So you end up with a very large pool of IGF-1 and mechano growth factor at the same time. Now, there are people in this audience who are going to tear this apart and say, that's nonsense. You don't need this if you're taking that. All I'm telling you is this. I have never recovered this fast in my life. I literally feel like I could leave work today and train chest and shoulders again. And I just trashed them this morning. I trashed them. The same thing with legs. I trashed legs, and we had to go out that night for Elisa's birthday. I took this shot, and I just felt like an hour and a half to 2 hours later, I didn't feel like I trained. My muscles were still pumped. They were super pumped. But I didn't feel fatigue. I didn't feel weary. I didn't have the rubberiness in my legs, and felt my legs, my muscles felt engaged. It almost fools you. It makes you think you didn't train hard enough. You're like, wow, I don't feel like I trained hard enough. I feel like I can go back to the gym and train some more. Now, this is not cheap. Go ahead, Rob. Go.
I'm just, my comment was, I looked at this stack and I said, hey, that makes sense, except what's oxytocin doing in there?
Okay,
When
so
is that? When is that show?
I did my first show on oxytocin in 2014.
Yeah.
Okay. Scientists from UCLA took old rodents and young rodents, and they injured their muscles. They stuck them with like a needle in the muscle.
Right.
Which was designed to show muscle damage. And they had 3 groups, the young rodents, the old rodent controls, and the old rodents that got oxytocin at very high doses. And the young rodents' muscles recovered faster than the old rodents' muscles, the controls. But the old rodents' muscles with oxytocin recovered faster than the young rodents' muscles. I started taking 10 IUs of oxytocin post-workout then in 2014. I didn't realize I needed more. The study that we're going to bring forward on this show with Dr. Betsy Yurt is going to change people's opinions of, I predict that most bodybuilders will start to include high doses of oxytocin in their drug stacks after the show. And I'm telling you, my muscles are round and full. It's different. It's like right now when I feel my muscles were still large, but they didn't feel like this. They didn't feel like this puffy, full feeling. I can't explain it.
That's a feeling I used to get on 1AD. It felt like there were little men inside my muscles pushing out. That's the only way I can explain it. And Methyl 1 test obviously did that too. But wow, well, I'll tell you what, if this is anything close to trenbolone, guys are going to be all over it. All over. And you say it's cheap?
No, it's not cheap. That's my point. It's not cheap.
Oh.
It's not terribly expensive either. So if you go to peptidesciences.com and use the code SHR, you'll save, I'm typing this out for the audience watching, 10% off. However, so let's say you have growth hormone, you're already getting it from someplace. That's great. BPC, if you buy one bottle of this stuff, BPC 157 is $59. MGF is $65. GHRP 6, $28. growth hormone releasing hormone, $46. Thymosin beta 4, $85. Oxytocin, $46. The oxytocin is a 10 milligram vial, and you're only using micrograms of it every day. So like a 10 milligram vial, I put 4 ml of water in there, and every single click on an insulin syringe is 25 IUs. So I have to take 3 lines on an insulin syringe. I mean, it lasts forever. It really does. BPC 157, you can use as little as 300 micrograms. I use 500 now. Mechano growth factor, another one that's fairly expensive. But some last for months and some last for weeks. So you're not buying this stack over and over again every single couple weeks. You're replacing some things and some things you aren't. So it's not an inexpensive. Oh, and also Peptide Sciences has a combo. They have a blend of CJC 1295 without DAC and GHRP 6, 5 milligrams of each in one vial for $75. And that's actually what I use. I use that because it's just simpler. You reconstitute one and you're done. But anybody who is already spending money on peptides, give this stack a try, even if you can't get the growth hormone, because you're going to produce growth hormone anyway on your own. I'm just looking to push a little harder right now. So I'm including 2 IUs. I have a prescription for 2 IUs of growth hormone 5 days a week, and I choose to use it this way. But if you try this peptide stack, first of all, be aware oxytocin will give you a severe head rush. Like after you take the shot, within a minute or two, you're going to start feeling your heart pound a little bit. Not terribly, not like you're having a heart attack. And you're going to feel pressure in your head. It goes away in about 2 or 3 minutes. The more you use it, the less it happens. It's like GABA. You know, the more you use it, you become tolerant to it. And that's why I'm up to 150 IUs per injection now. And if I would have took 150 IUs out of the gate, I probably would have thought I was having a heart attack. I would have been like, oh man, something's wrong. Because you get such a head rush. It's freaking weird. It's like, oh my God, what is that? But then it just goes away. But start out with 50, work your way up to 100 or even 150 over the course of a month or two. But the oxytocin and the mechano growth factor are really doing the heavy lifting in this blend. They're really doing the heavy lifting in this blend.
Yeah, gosh, that sounds exciting. It almost sounds like shades of Dr. Connolly's original Progenics.
That's what I thought about. I thought he told everybody that you could go back and train the same muscle group the next day. I can do that with this stack. There's no doubt in my mind I can.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, if that's the case, then this is certainly going to revolutionize the the bodybuilding world and what, like you said, what they include in their stacks. Is there any toxicity, etc., to be concerned with?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, you probably, if you took too much oxytocin on your first dose, you probably could pass out. I get a fefeeling you could. We have a couple questions real quick I want to answer. So Carrie Kruger, who's in South Africa, asked me if I've ever tried growers. I have. I ate 2 bags of them over the past week. I love them. They're just so convenient, and I like beef. So Samurai Jack says, any thoughts on the super hyped 5-amino 1MQ? It's 1MQ. I used it for a month and a half. I didn't notice a damn thing. I took the recommended dose, I think is 500 milligrams a day. I got it from TaylorMade. I didn't notice anything. Wow. And Tommy D, Chronomics is going to be on tomorrow, I think. Hold on. Or Thursday. Hold on. Let me look. Hold on. Chronomics is on Thursday. They're coming on Thursday to tell the audience what's going on and when everybody will get their results. So you'll want to tune in. Please tune in, Tommy, so that you can ask questions also, please. But that's it. That is the Superhuman Recovery Stack. If you can afford it, try it. Here's my prediction. If you can afford it and you try it, you're going to see that it works and you're going to keep spending money on it. Because I have a feeling that I'm going to put on more muscle in the next few months than I have maybe since I started training.
Yeah, I can't wait to see you started this when?
I just started using this about a week and a half ago, almost 2 weeks ago.
Okay. Yeah, like where you are in 6 weeks should say a lot.
Here, where did I post? I posted that picture on Facebook. I was going to see. No, I don't have it open. I was going to see when I posted that picture. I had been using this stack probably maybe a week at that point in time. So it depends on what the date was on that. But yeah, peptidesciences.com. Use the code SHR10 to save 10% off. And plus, Peptide Sciences product prices go down. Like if you buy 3 or more, 5 or more, they have all these other discounts on top of the 10% off. So you can lower the price pretty quickly and consistently. Cool. So there you go. That's my secret weapon, folks. Now, when you see me in a couple months, when you see me in a couple months, and I am going to look different because I can tell already, you know what I was doing. It was my new training style. It was this, and I continue to eat a lot of protein. So that's it. That's
cool.
All right, that's all for today. Thanks for watching. Of course, visit CoachRobRegish.com to get a lot of this information in your inbox with the BluePrint Bulletin.
Amen.
And thank you, Rob, for being here. And we'll see everybody tomorrow with more Superhuman Radio. Thank you.
Thank you.